Alright everyone, we have to talk about the vague possibility that The Rock is actually going to be the Democratic nominee the next time around going up against Trump. I strongly support this, not because of any policies of his. I don't even know or care what his platform is going to be. Can you imagine a situation in which two showmen go up against one another representing the so-called establishment parties within the United States? It would be fucking chaos. It would be a sham joke of an election. To see the Democrats that cast themselves right now as we're the mature party, we care about experience, you know, career politicians, there's something good about them because we know how to, you know, save our asses when we do something illegal is what it really boils down to. But we're the mature party. Trump is immature because he doesn't have enough, he hasn't been in D.C. before, he only rubbed elbows with politicians, doesn't know what he's doing. And it's a bad thing for our republic, and we need more lawyers in D.C. and less businessmen, again, for reasons. It would be very funny to see the Democratic Party poison itself the same way that the left side of the corporate media is poisoning itself right now with neocons. I pointed that out. MSNBC, CNN, all the New York Times. They're bringing on hard-hitting conservative voices on board and injecting them into what were just partisan Democratic platforms, just the neoliberal side, because they smell blood in the water with the death of Fox News. It would be funny to see the Democratic Party scent death in the Republican Party, and then adopt the same tactics minus the meme-worthiness for no apparent reason. They would cripple themselves. It would cripple the U.S. political establishment entirely. I think it would be a good thing for the country. Specifically, it would be a good thing because once these two parties are outed as being two flavors of joke, that is, neither of them at that point apparently would really care about the career politician slash civic side of things, a lot of people would be so bitter. They'd be like, what the hell is going on? Are any of these people adults? Now, if you look at the Senate, of course, you know the answer is no. They're not really adults. Rand Paul can be an adult sometimes. Then he goes off to smoke weed and talk about Aqua Buddha, which is funny, but apparently did at one time happen in some form or another. No, if you look at the legislature, these people are not fully mature, mentally speaking. Sometimes I think the intel heads and like the military brass think of themselves as being sort of mature, and they have to directly lord over Congress and constantly pressure and lobby them because they wouldn't know what to do without them. Sort of the war is too important to be left to the politicians line or some strange love stuff like that. And I think you'll find I'm not entirely in disagreement with that. When you look at a random sampling of the people in our legislature, or people that lead the DNC, people that represent the RNC, some of these people are total fuck-ups. They got there because of cronyism or something like that. They didn't get there because they're particularly smart or well-spoken. They didn't. It's like when you get on the corporate media. What's the primary qualifier for being on corporate media? You know, being a pundit on Fox or CNN. Journalism degree, which is basically meaningless. Capped teeth and hair plug, able to read teleprompter. That's what you've got. You don't have to have a personality. You don't have to have particularly advanced intelligence. Somebody probably got you into that slot because of the way you looked or because of who you knew in college or something like that. Or you worked your way up from some local news firm to a regional news firm, and then, you know, they realized, oh, this person, you know, well-spoken, looks good. Okay, we'll put him on some off slot or something like that. It's the same way within politics. A lot of it's just cronyism. Oh, yeah, well, I used to be the night janitor, and then I became friends with this Senate staffer, and they got me a position, an internship, and then the senator really liked me because I sucked his dick really well, so then he made me, like, you know, his advisor or something, realized I was, you know, kind of smart and at least looked good for the cameras. And then I decided to run for office and became like mayor, and then I worked my... That's basically how it works within politics. So it'd be funny to see the Democratic Party do what they're saying the Republican Party is like immature, they're evil and don't know what they're doing because their candidate doesn't have experience and is essentially like a wrestling showman. But you're talking about nominating The Rock. What are you talking about, people? This doesn't make any sense. And these people are crazy. It'd be so funny, though. Oh, can you imagine how meme-worthy a race that would be? Two people connected with fundamentally the same industry. Probably with similar-ish views, I would assume. I can't imagine that The Rock, deep inside, you know, when nobody else is around, in strict confidence, is like, oh yeah, neoliberalism is so great, globalism is so great, we've got to do X, Y, and Z. Now, it's probably a little bit more prosaic than that, let's say. It seems like an interesting dude, you know, goes in movies and all this stuff. It'd be interesting. And it's like Schwarzenegger said, there are a lot of people who wanted Arnold Schwarzenegger to be able to be the president. And let me tell you this, if Arnold Schwarzenegger had not been born overseas in Europe and come here as an immigrant, if he were native, he'd win. He'd win hands down. He'd have the Democratic votes for his platform, the Republican votes for his party and his image. He'd be the next Ronald Reagan. He could definitely do that. Of course, he's unfortunately ineligible for running. And while I agree with that basic idea that people who are born, you know, like Ted Cruz, they're born in some foreign country, they're not allowed to run for the presidency and actually get it. While I agree with that, it is sort of a little bit of a shame, because I can't think of many people that would be cooler than Arnold Schwarzenegger. I guess The Rock would be sort of the Democratic Party's answer to that or something. But it's just so funny. Think about how immature it'd be. Can you imagine? All their quotes about how Donald Trump doesn't have experience. We need experienced leadership. We need an insider who pretends to be an outsider. All that would sort of fly out the window if they nominated him. And it'd be funny. That would, if you think that we have chaos right now, with just the president being Donald Trump, who's best known as, on The Apprentice, businessman, you know, builds skyscrapers and stuff, not really politically minded in that sense. If you think that that's chaotic, wait until you see a race with The Rock running. And then when he surprises me, you know, he's done a lot of acting. He'll show up. He's not going to be off the wall and start flexing his muscles and saying crazy shit and be a token candidate. He might take it seriously. And there might be nothing that the career politicians there can do to stop him. I advise him, by the way, I advise him to run. I do. I think he would probably become the nominee. We saw what happened with Trump. People thought it couldn't happen. Oh, just actor, business, and stuff like that. How is that different from The Rock? Also, The Rock is younger. He is well-spoken. I think it'd be great. I think it'd be hilarious. Oh, there's so much chaos. Can you fucking imagine what the race would devolve into? You'd have all these, all the never Trump career politicians. They'd still be complaining. So there's chaos on that side, and the RNC in uproar. On the other side, you've got, yet again, a candidate with no real political experience who might be a decent individual, honestly. Platform. We'd have to see what kind of platform he takes up, what he actually says. Give him the benefit of the doubt. He could end up redeeming the Democratic Party, make it into something other than, hey, we're the party of the Clinton dynasty, the Obamas of the world, and we want to drone more people. Hell, maybe he'd be more honest because he hasn't been a career politician too. He'd be an outsider. He'd be like Trump. And all these other, career politicians would have to go up against him. I don't know how much money he has, but it has to be a massive, massive sum. He could probably pull a Trump in fundraising, at least early on. And say, I'm not sucking the corporate teat. I'm just going to self-fund. You can, donate to me if you want to. I'm just going to go out and hold rallies and stuff. It'd be Trump versus Trump, almost. A Republican outsider Trump versus a Democratic outsider Trump-like candidate who might say less off-the-wall stuff and be considered more... He could win. Yeah, The Rock could become the next president of the United States. We've obviously gone past the point of no return when it comes to having personalities in government. Because people were saying that for years about Schwarzenegger. Oh, we should redesign this so he can run and stuff like that. You've got Trump. He became the president of the United States. No past political experience. The Democrats are seriously talking about people like Mark Zuckerberg as possible nominees. Can you imagine? What if the Democratic field became Mark Cuban and Zuckerberg and The Rock? And I mean, it would be uproar. All these business Democrats, by the way, all the labor Democrats, the Rock, if he runs, my advice to him would be to have a very, very pro-middle class, pro-small business platform. Because otherwise, all those business Democrats, the sort of American labor movement style Democrats, will flee the party and they'll keep voting for Trump. In the Rust Belt, you'd lose. If you wine and dine them properly and sort of abandon the Democratic Party's hatred of the middle class, which is what it's been displaying for several decades, you could stand a chance. You could potentially become the president of the United States. It'd be funny. Yeah, President Donald Trump, followed by President The Rock, followed by President Mark Zuckerberg, followed by, President whoever, Barron Trump or something. I mean, it'd be a free-for-all. Yeah, you really can be anything that you want when this is sort of the modern political discourse. You don't have to worry about getting into politics when you're still a teenager and reading reams and reams of legalese and going to law school in order to become a politician. That's no longer a prerequisite. Hell, there are places in the country where the mayor's a dog, where somebody who's dead keeps getting repeatedly voted for because all the candidates suck. That's what's happening in the United States. It's become a parody. It's a parody of what used to be a civic-minded system. So enjoy. Just enjoy the chaos. You might as well. There's not much to be done about it unless we can overhaul all of D.C., and that's, short term at least, not going to happen. That's about all. Peace out.